In the peaceful, rolling hills of Enugu State, Nigeria, there lived a young man named Marcus. Marcus felt trapped in a life of struggle. Despite his strength, every effort he made crumbled like dust in his hands. The people of his village often whispered about him, "Look at Marcus, so eager, so hardworking, yet so unfortunate." He was known for trying everything to change his fate, seeking answers from prayer houses, prophets, and even shrines. One bright afternoon, Marcus stood before a small, dimly lit prayer house on the edge of the village. Inside sat an old woman with deep, wise eyes seemed to see beyond the visible world. Desperate, Marcus knelt before her, hoping for a solution to his troubles. "Marcus, I see your pain," she said, her voice slow and deliberate. "It is your uncle. He is the one who has cursed you, binding your destiny with evil deeds. Until you deal with him, your life will remain in chains." Her words struck Marcus like a blow. His uncle, the man who had cared for him after his father's death. Anger swelled in his heart, blinding him to reason. Without thinking, Marcus stormed home, consumed by rage. When he saw his uncle returning from the farm, he shouted, "I know what you've done. You've been holding me back all these years." A bitter quarrel ensued, and by the end of the day, Marcus had severed all ties with him. Weeks passed, yet nothing in Marcus's life changed. His crops continued to fail, and his business ideas fell apart. Once again, he sought answers, this time from a well-known prophet feared and respected by many people in the village. "Marcus," the prophet declared with conviction, "it is not your uncle. It is your mother. She has bewitched you, sacrificing your destiny to become the most powerful queen in their witchcraft kingdom." Marcus froze. His mother, the woman who had loved and raised him. The thought crushed him, but the prophet's words echoed in his mind. He avoided his mother, refusing to speak to her, and his heart hardened with hatred, but even then, his troubles didn't end. His suffering seemed endless, and so he made one final attempt to find help. He visited a local shrine deep in the forest, where the air was thick with smoke and the walls covered in strange symbols. The native doctor greeted him with a sly smile. "Your enemies will pay for what they've done to you," the witchman promised. "When you return home, you will hear their cries as they fall one by one. None of them will remain alive." Ha ha ha. Marcus rushed home, filled with hope, expecting to find his uncle and mother dead. But when he arrived, he saw his uncle returning from the farm very strong and healthy, and his mother cooking in the kitchen. Disappointment turned to rage, and he returned to the shrine, furiously, "You deceived me," Marcus shouted. "You said they would be gone, but nothing has changed." The native doctor waved him away, uninterested, and ordered him to leave his shrine immediately. With nowhere left to turn, Marcus's world began to crumble. Despair wrapped around him, suffocating his last hope. The thought of ending his life crept into his mind, growing stronger each day. One evening, Marcus grabbed a rope and set off toward the forest. His heart heavy, he passed through the village unnoticed, his face blank and numb. As he neared the edge of the forest, he crossed paths with a young boy singing a song that floated through the air.
When peace like a river sorrows like sea billows roll. Whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to say, it is well with my soul.
The song settled in Marcus's mind, tugging at something deep within him. By the time he reached the forest, he was too tired to continue. He fell to the ground, weeping uncontrollably until exhaustion overtook him, and he fell asleep in his dream. Marcus stood in a vast, open field. A bright light shone down, and from within the light emerged a figure, an angel, radiant and peaceful.
Why, Marcus, have you chosen this path?
The angel asked gently, "Why have you decided to end your life?" "The pain, the suffering." Marcus sobbed. "It's too much. I've tried everything, but nothing works." The angel's voice was calm but firm. "You suffer not because of your uncle or your mother, but because you've abandoned the path you should follow to run after shadows. You've allowed the devil to mislead and frustrate you. Go home, make peace with your family, and seek God with all your heart. And stop worrying about the things of this world, what you will eat, what you will drink, or what you will wear. Focus on the kingdom of God, and all other things will come to you. Start working with your hands, plant the seeds of faith and effort, and watch how the Lord blesses your work." Marcus awoke from the dream with a newfound clarity. He wiped his tears and returned home, this time with humility. When he saw his uncle, he approached him and softly said, "Uncle, I was wrong. Please, forgive me." Surprised by the change, his uncle embraced him, and the bitterness between them melted away. Next, Marcus went to his mother and, with a heavy heart, apologized to her. She tearfully replied, "Oh, my son. I've always wanted the best for you, my son." Marcus didn't stop there. He followed the angel's advice and dedicated his life to God. He began farming the land, and though the first season was hard, he didn't give up. Slowly, the land yielded its bounty, and his efforts were rewarded. As his harvest grew plentiful, Marcus expanded his farm, leasing more land. "It's working. It's finally working." Marcus laughed as he held bags of his products. His farm flourished, and wealth flowed into his hands. But this time, he remained humble, always remembering the lessons he had learned. Years later, Marcus stood tall, looking over his thriving fields. His once simple home had grown into a large, beautiful house, and his farm had become a flourishing enterprise. He was no longer plagued by doubt and despair but filled with wisdom and light. "I was blind, but now I see," Marcus reflected. "It wasn't the world that was against me, it was my own heart, my lack of understanding." Marcus had learned the most important lesson: true success doesn't come from blaming others or seeking quick fixes. It comes from faith, hard work, and the wisdom to focus on what truly matters. His heart, once burdened with bitterness, was now filled with peace and gratitude. His life became an inspiration to many, and people from all over came to hear his story. Marcus understood now that success was not in blaming others but in seeking God and putting in the effort. As the sun set one evening, he stood in the field that had once been barren and cursed, now full of life and bounty. Just like his heart, I once thought I was cursed, Marcus said, gazing at the sunset, but now I see I was always blessed. All I needed was to open my eyes. Success doesn't come from blaming others or searching for easy answers. It comes from hard work, faith, and trusting in God's plan. When we forgive, reconcile, and focus on what truly matters, everything else will fall into place. Like Marcus, we can all turn our lives around, no matter how dark things may seem, by focusing on love, kindness, and unwavering belief in the power of goodness.